Hello and welcome to Views on News. I am Jawad Hami. Pakistan's caretaker Prime Minister Mr. Anwarul Haqqaqar addressed a very important presser today and sent out a very loud and a clear message to the interim Afghan authorities regarding their responsibility, especially after they took over Kabul 2 years before. They had made commitments with the international community, especially when it comes to not letting any terrorist outfit or any militant outfit operating from the Afghan soil. Let me quickly bring in our panelists. We are honored to have been joined in the studio by Mr. Naveed Aman Khan, senior analyst. Mr. Naveed, thank you very much for taking time out for Views on News tonight. Really appreciate that. At the same time in the studio, we are joined by Mr. Air Vice Marshal retired Ijaz Malik, senior analyst. Mr. Malik, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Now, let's start the discussion with the significance and the timing of this particular press done by caretaker Prime Minister Mr. Anwarul Haqqaqar. Mr. Naveed, now the kind of a message that has been sent to the interim Afghan authorities, what do you expect? Would there be any change of course in the approach of the interim Afghan authorities, especially after this conference?
Jawad, this press conference is very important. The Prime Minister categorically has mentioned the frequency of terrorism and on the other side, repatriation of the illegal immigrants. Both matters are very important for Pakistan. Number one, repatriation is a prerogative of government of Pakistan, and we have right to send back every illegal immigrant from Pakistan to their countries. Not only we are talking about the Afghan illegal immigrants, we are talking about all the illegal immigrants of every country living in Pakistan, number one. Number two is this. We have seen that the intensity of terrorism in Pakistan has increased. The number of terrorist attacks during the last 1 week are alarming. Pakistan has beared a lot. Pakistan has suffered a lot because of terrorism, and we have seen that Afghans and the Afghan Talibans or Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, they are involved in terrorism in Pakistan. We have, for many times, we have asked or addressed Afghan interim government, and we have requested them that they need not to back Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, as Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan are directly involved in attacks in Pakistan. And we have again seen that in these attacks during the last 1 week, many of the Afghans are involved, and we have found documents from them, and it shows that the Afghan Taliban are not serious as far as the terrorism matter is concerned in Pakistan. They will have to take care of it now.
No, so the question naturally arises, Mr. Naveed, why do you think the Afghan Taliban, after the lapse of more than 2 years now, after they took over the Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, they made a commitment to the international community, especially when it comes to dismantling the terrorist outfits, havens over there, and not allow them to use the Afghan soil against any other country, particularly when it comes to the neighboring countries. Why, as per your understanding, over the last 2 years, the Afghan Taliban had been unable to control or that particular terrorism emanating from Afghan soil and take a concrete action against all those militant outfits?
And Jawad, the most important thing is this, that Afghan Taliban has not learned lesson from international politics or the dynamics of the regional politics as well. The importance of economy is very, very vital for the development of Afghanistan and Pakistan. If you hold weapons against your neighbors, we are not provoking anything to the Afghans to come up and open your fires on Pakistan. If you hold weapons in your hands, you cannot go for development and economic development. You would remember that China has started investing in Afghanistan and has sent ambassador to Afghanistan. It is all because China wanted Afghanistan to be the part of that economic activity. And that means to drop weapons from your hands and come in the economic activity. So Pakistan is also involving Afghan Taliban, Afghan government to drop the weapons and come and join the economic activity. And CPEC is a blessing for Afghanistan, is a good opportunity for Afghanistan to join CPEC and become the party and become the part of that economic activity.
A pertinent point that you...
Illegal immigrants of every country which are in Pakistan. We are talking about all those.
Exactly, but there's been a very clear mention by Prime Minister in today's presser also. Now, it naturally happens to be a coincidence that majority of those illegal foreign nationals happen to be from Afghanistan. They belong to Afghanistan. Now, Prime Minister says that these illegal aliens have been the biggest role in stoking unrest in Pakistan, and especially when we talk about the upsurge or the uptick in terrorist attacks here in Pakistan in the recent past. Afghan nationals' involvement has been found in that. So Pakistan has a legal right and prerogative regarding repatriating these illegal foreigners from Pakistan in its larger national interest. Why would the world at large, and especially the Afghan authorities, as Prime Minister has also regretted about the statements which have been irresponsible and misleading on the part of some of the Afghan leaders, why would they resort to that?
Afghan leaders or Afghan Taliban representatives, they should mend their ways. And it's not the way they are behaving Pakistan. Pakistan has done a lot for Afghanistan and the Afghans for the last 4 to 5 decades. We have suffered a lot because of all the Afghanistan Afghans who have come to Pakistan. Even when Afghan Taliban took over 2 years back, more than 700,000 of 500,000 Afghans, they again came to Pakistan. So Pakistan has been feeding them or taking care of them. But if those Afghans are not taking care of Pakistan and they are not saying thank you very much Pakistan, you have taken care of us, they believe that we haven't done anything good for Afghans or Afghanistan. Look, Afghanistan doesn't share any coastal area. So Pakistani coastal area is available for Afghanistan, and they have their trade through Pakistani coastal area. They are being blessed by Pakistan, and Pakistan is taking care of all this. If they are having their bread and butter because of Pakistan, that coastal area, they should be thankful to Pakistani nation and Pakistani government. This is a very important thing which landlocked countries like Afghanistan should keep in mind. And if only Pakistan reviewed this decision of giving that facility of coastal area to Afghanistan, Afghanistan will be in trouble, I tell you. But the way Afghans are behaving and they are responding to Pakistan or Pakistani nation, it's not the way. It's not the way.
So when we talk about the expectation of the Pakistani nation post international troops withdrawal and Kabul being taken over by the Taliban, that very expectation on the part of Pakistani nation and the authorities was pretty much natural because first of all hosting millions of refugees over the last 4 decades and then also facilitating the Afghan peace and reconciliation process, also advocating the case of the Afghans at the international fora. Also still to date, Pakistan continues to advocate the kind of dire humanitarian and economic crisis the people of Afghanistan were faced with, and then also re-emphasizing time and again upon the dignified repatriation of the refugees. Not even a single % of reciprocation. Rather, when we talk about the statements by very important leaders of the interim Afghan authorities, they come up with the denial that TTP doesn't exist on their soil and Pakistan should rather be taking care of this problem internally at its own. Why is that so?
Jawad, the most important thing is, as I have earlier mentioned, that Afghan Taliban, since they have taken over 2 years back, they haven't learned that dynamic of the regional politics. They should have established very good balanced relationship with Pakistan, with the other neighboring countries as well, because the entire region is getting developed. The economic activity is very much seen in Pakistan, in Central Asian states, in China. So
The connectivity, when we talk about the recently held Belt and Road Forum, the delegations were also in participation at that particular forum also.
Yes, it is. But Afghanistan is not becoming that active part of these forums, and it's not getting
they
that
haven't
benefit.
learned any lessons by far. What would make them to learn those lessons and become the part of the solution rather than the part being the problem?
Economic activity is the main course, because once you get in economic activity, you leave the weapons aside, because that is your life and that is your future. They have not paid attention towards the education or liberty of Afghan women in Afghanistan. They are not taking care of the economic activities within Afghanistan or in the region. I mean, they are going in opposite direction. This opposite direction will definitely damage Afghanistan and Afghan society. And it is damaging. And it is not damaging Afghan society, as it is damaging the neighboring countries as well. So Pakistan is the main country on which Afghanistan depends.
So if that particular pattern continues, what way forward, especially when we talk about the bordering neighboring countries, would have in the future? Mr. Naveed, what's your understanding of this phenomenon when it comes to solely, exclusively the responsibility of the United States of America that waged war for 2 decades over here, then also pulled in a lot of funds when it was Hamid Karzai's government as well as Ashraf Ghani's government? Don't you think there should have been a better framework of institution building in Afghanistan that could have led to progress and prosperity, rather than Afghanistan standing at the very same point where it was 20 years before when US invaded it?
So one thing is very important, that America never meant to establish institutions in Afghanistan. They spent their time and they left Afghanistan. And when they left Afghanistan, they left heaps of sophisticated weapons back in Afghanistan, which are now being used by Afghan Taliban or TTP against Pakistan. Yes, it should have been, but America has never opted this way of establishing the institutions or helping in establishment of the institutions in any country where they attack. Like, if you consider Iraq, they haven't done anything for the infrastructure of Iraq, left Iraq on debris. In Afghanistan, they went for war for 2 decades, and when they left Afghanistan on debris. It is the only responsibility of that nation who rebuilt itself. I mean, no country like America will go for the reconstruction or reestablishment of that.
But there were rather two different governments. One earlier that was led by Hamid Karzai, and then Ashraf Ghani. There was so-called elected democratically elected governments. So what was their responsibility? If there was no intention on the part of the United States of America, if it had invaded Afghanistan with some other intentions, so what ideally was the responsibility of those democratically elected governments in Afghanistan? Mr. Naveed, please go ahead. Now, what was ideally the responsibility of those democratically elected government if the intention on the part of the US administration was something else?
Yes, it is the prime responsibility of Ashraf Ghani government and Karzai government to establish, it was their prime responsibility to establish institutions of Afghanistan. When America was involved directly in Afghanistan, that was very a good opportunity for them. But since it was not the intention of America to establish the institutions in Afghanistan, it should have been in a responsibility of the Afghan governments, the then Afghan governments, Karzai government and the Ashraf Ghani governments, but they did not do.
On the face of it, those governments were by and large also inclusive government by and large on the face of it,
yes,
comprising all the stakeholders. Mr. Naveed, I think you are holding a very important point.
Yes, it is very important that the Afghans should learn the way the world is moving ahead. They depend upon narcotics. They depend upon illegal trafficking of narcotics in different part of the world, and the weapons. they depend upon the earning of ransom money. They don't do work. They need to involve themselves in work or in economic activity, which they don't believe. But the world cannot move in their way. They will have to follow those ways and means which the world is opting for that development. Development will mean a progress and mind change of the Afghans in Afghanistan. And that if Afghans mind...
Who is going to change that mind?
I mean, they will have to change
even
themselves.
if the international community for the last 2 decades with their presence
The
and
world is
with the
doing a lot.
so-called democratically elected governments couldn't change that mindset. They
Jawad-
continue to stand at that very same point and create problems for the neighboring countries, especially in the region. Who's going to change that?
Jawad, they will have to change themselves. Nobody can change any nation. The nation will have to change itself or themselves. They will have to learn, and they are not ready to learn. The world is moving in different direction, and they are moving in different direction. As I have earlier mentioned, the world is giving importance to the education and development of the women in their society, and Afghans are, they are abandoning Afghans women and the children or the girls from the schools, jobs, and they have cut off their that 50% of population from the mainstream. This mindset will definitely damage Afghan society and will destroy Afghanistan in future if they did not change their mindset and did not follow those dynamics of the international world, the way international community is moving. On the border, how China is moving, or how Central Asia is moving, how Pakistan is moving on economic grounds. CPEC is, I have earlier mentioned that CPEC is one thing which is very important and is a blessing for Afghanistan as well. If Afghanistan wants to take advantage of that CPEC, Afghanistan can develop itself, Afghanistan can get benefit out of it and can change its mindset, change its society and move ahead. Afghanistan will have to, or Afghan Taliban will have to throw weapons aside.
Let's talk about the perspective from the interim Afghan authorities now. Pakistani authorities have a number of times also offered help and assistance when it comes to the capacity building as far as counter-terrorism is concerned. When it comes to advocating Afghan's case also to avert that humanitarian dire economic crisis over there in Afghanistan is also concerned. Now, specifically talking from their perspective, what could be their priority, what they could be looking up to towards Pakistan that they could get immediately from Pakistani authorities?
One thing is very important. They are not being acknowledged by the entire world. And for the last 2 years, they are isolated because of their own behavior and treatment and mindset. First of all, they need to work in a different direction so that the entire world or international community come towards them and acknowledge them first of all. If the world is not going to acknowledge them, it will be the Afghan community, Afghan society, Afghan government who will be the main loser. And if you carry on this way, how long you will exist? You cannot exist any longer in that way the world is existing. The world will move on a rapid pace in a different direction, and you will be moving towards cave ages or the stone ages. You cannot help your society in this mindset.
Mr. Naveed, unfortunately we're short of time. Your quick comment regarding what could be, according to you, the first confidence building measures on the part of interim Afghan authorities?
Number one, Jawad, one thing is very important that as far as the terrorism in Pakistan is concerned, TTP is involved in that phase of terrorism, and it was very good opportunity for Afghan Taliban to stop TTP to attack on Pakistan and oblige Pakistan, which Afghan Taliban have lost and have not, obliged Pakistan by having influence on TTP. It shows that Afghan Taliban, TTP is proxy of Afghan Taliban in Pakistan, which Pakistan will never bear any longer. And the number two thing is, if Pakistan stops that smuggling, it's Pakistan's right. Smuggling is no longer allowed to Afghanistan or from Afghanistan to Pakistan. If they go for that trade legally, it's okay, fine. we are ready to go for that trade, but not illegally. And they have that problem. They want that smuggling continue between Pakistan and Afghanistan, which Pakistan has disallowed. And if they mind it, they mind it. We don't mind it, because we need to take care of Pakistan, and if they are not taking care of Afghanistan, it's their headache, and we are not going to bear any pressure from Afghanistan or Afghan Taliban any longer right from this moment. And if there is any terrorist attack or any such incident happens in future, Pakistan will not tolerate the way Pakistan has been tolerating. Pakistan has given much time to Afghanistan, which
Pakistan of course has given much time to interim Afghan authorities to mend their ways and fulfill their international commitments, especially when it comes to dismantling the terrorist outfits which are operating from there, and the threat of terrorism that emanates from the Afghanistan's soil. Mr. Naveed Aman Khan, senior analyst, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Also in the studio, we were joined by Air Vice Marshal retired Mr. Ijaz Malik, senior analyst. Mr. Malik, thank you very much for your time. Also